Good morning and welcome back to Hammond's Upholstery. Well, I lie, it's actually the afternoon. I'm a bit late starting this one today, but it's a lovely day. We've got plenty of bits and pieces to get back on with, so let's take a walk through and see what it is we've got going on. Okay, so as you saw in the last episode, that church chair or throne is ready to go back, ready for the collection. There's some cushions there ready to be collected. We have the buffet that goes with this set of 4 dining chairs that have been partially ripped up over here. We have this set of 6 dining chairs that we need to be getting on with. We've got some stools. There have been some collected today, and these are just waiting for 1/2 metre of fabric to finish this order off and get it dispatched. We have the slipper style chair, needs to be getting on with, and these 4 dining chairs. I was hoping to start the dining chairs this morning, but I had a customer come in with these sofa cushions. You can see this is faded in the sun where it's been in the window. There's a pair of these cushions, and the customer wants 5 inches taken off of the bottom from this point to here, and the fill adjusted to suit, because they want to avoid this going on with the window, so they want the cushion to finish the same height as the sofa instead of being above the cushion. So I've made a start on that here. This is with the 5 inches cut off just one side. We've got to cut it off the other side, so that's what we've got to cut off. Sew the cushion back up and adjust the fibre fill to suit, and there's a pair of little arm pads there that they want some additional fill putting into them. I'm not sure that they really want additional fill, if I'm honest with you. I think it's just that the fill has collapsed, so we'll take that fill out, pull it apart, tease it apart, and may add a little bit more to it, but I think by the time we've teased the fibre apart, it should be fine. So that's what I'm on with. So I'm going to finish cutting these cushions and get them sewn up, because I want to get this job out of the way, and I want to get on with these dining chairs. I've had it a little bit of time now. I have an inkling the customer's going to be calling me any minute now. So let's get on with these cushions, get them cut and sewn up, and get them off to a customer. So like I said, we've unpicked part of this. This side's been done. Excuse me for the wobbling camera. I'll try and steady that. I'm sure that's very irritating. Right, so let's get this other side marked out and cut off. We'll do the same with the other cushion, but we'll go through one at a time. You don't need to see me doing both of them. I'm sure you will bored of that, so let's alter this one first, and then I'll do the other one off camera. So, simple process, unpick it and cut 5 inches off. That's what the customer wanted, so that's what we do. It's not a measurement that I took, this is a measurement that the customer has supplied me with, so I'm sure it'll be fine. No doubt they'll be happy with it. So that's that bit taken off. So we've got everything here. We just need to take this zip border off, because we do want it to come around the cushion, but this border is now too long, so that will need shortening, not shortering, no such word. Alright, that's the border removed. Right, let's get this sewn up. Right, so let's get this side border shortened a bit and reattach the zip border. So this is so that the zip border comes round the edge of the cushion onto the side. So I'm going to cut approximately 3 inches off of there and reattach this zip border. With this this particular crushed velvet, there isn't really a pile on it for a top to bottom or face, so I haven't got to worry about that. Normally where there's a pile, we want it to run in the right direction, but there isn't a pile on this. It doesn't really brush in any particular direction. If you don't get the pile going the right way, there'll be a colour difference when you look at the cushion in one direction to the other, which can be very annoying if you put 2 cushions in. You may have seen it. If you've got seat cushions on your sofa and the border, you turn one cushion upside down, or just turn it over, flip it over, you'll look at the border and you'll see one will look darker than the other, and that's because there's a pile on the fabric and it brushes in one direction. So when you have a cushion that's a left and a right, a shaped cushion, you need to make sure that the borders are the right way. So there is a left hand and a right hand cushion, and when you flip them over you have to put it into the opposite side. Same with the backs, you've got a left and a right, but with this particular fabric there's no real pile on it, so you wouldn't see that colour difference. So look out for that. I quite often spot it in advertising and promotional stuff where the photographers and so on, or the set designers, haven't picked up on that. So run the piping down, sew that back on both sides, and then trim that off. So we do get all sorts of requests coming in for repairs, modification, to reupholstery, or recovering of furniture. It can be fairly quite varied, which does keep it interesting. But you also need to be able to do that for your customers. There's 1 or 2 upholsterers that I know of that are quite limited, or choose to be quite limiting to what they'll do. They'll only do small items, dining chairs, that sort of thing. Others won't do anything where there's machining involved, because they're not capable of using the sewing machine, or if there is machining involved in the job, they will avoid it and modify the furniture so you haven't got to do machining. And that's where you see a lot of nailing detail, etc., that is unnecessary. So the piping is only on 3 sides of this cushion. Top, left and right side. There's no piping along the bottom edge. Quite often see that and do it ourselves because the piping is not seen, it disappears on the bottom edge. So it's not necessary. Right. Let's get one side of this sewn on. Snip the corner and then turn. Trying to run it round without snipping the corner tends to round the corner off a little bit. And this is a square cushion. We want to keep it square. You can see by the old stitch line that it's wavered a little bit. These, that's fine. It's not going to have an effect on the finished item for the customer. Before I take that round the corner, I'm just going to sew this onto the border. Start and stop our stitching by back stitching the sewing machine to lock it off so it shouldn't come apart. And I run it over a couple of times the zip because that can be a weak point. Corner, snip the corner so the fabric turns better. Be a simple process of running this side round now, and that's the cushion modified. We've got to modify the fill because now the fill is 5 inches too big. One of the other things the customer asked me to do for them is take some of the fill out of the back cushions anyway, because they found them or thought they were overstuffed. So that's a preference that we can certainly address. We've got to take some fill out anyway, otherwise it's definitely going to be overstuffed now, but we'll modify that to suit. It's a bit difficult to second guess what the customer wants, but we'll take some of the fill out and hopefully they'll be okay with that. We'll do the same with both cushions. Snip corner. Pipe him. Okay, so we'll run that round, turn that inside out, and we shall alter the fill now. So let's turn the camera around so you can see me do that. Right, so here's the fill. The customer wants some fill taken out of this, but we've got to take 5 inches off the bottom of it anyway. So we've got to unpick this, then we'll take the bottom portion out. We'll have to take the top out as well, tease it all apart, reduce the size of the cover, sew it up and then stuff it and then close the cushion off. So a little bit of work involved in this here. The fibre that we take out of this back cushion we will keep, because we've got to put some additional fibre into the arm fills for the customer. So that will save a bit of the cost. So we'll just take it out, and it's big clumps at the moment where it's matted together. Like so. Right. So this fibre would have gone in loose, and over time it just mats together, and that's why your fibre cushions feel flat. It's because you can't, however much you plump it, it's not going to tease the fibres apart, which is what you really need to do. Right, so we've got to reduce this fill by 5 inches. I'm looking at this here just to ascertain. I'm looking at it and thinking that there's an angle on it. No, there isn't. So there's a couple of ways we could do this. We could unpick this border and sew it back up, square cushion as it is. The easiest way at this point would be to just take a stitch line across the bottom, and that way we're reducing the size of the fill, which I think is what I'm going to do. So I am going to stitch this about 3 inches up here, and we should be good to go. Fill it back up. So I'll be back in a second. So that's sewn up across the bottom there. We'll just trim off that excess. It's not ideal. We would have liked to replace the fills, but the customer wasn't willing to pay for that. They just wanted us to take some fill out of their existing fills and use them like that. So that's what we're going to do. So this is the fill that's come out. As you can see, it's matted now into big clumps. I've covered this in previous videos, but we'll just pull this apart. It gets the air back into it, pulls fibres apart. Stuff that back in to a point that I feel from experience is going to work. So there you can see what's happened where we've just sewn it across. We've got this join going on here, which is fine. Again, it's not the fill that dictates the finished cushion, it's the cover. You could put this fibre straight into the cover if you really wanted to. But this cambric cover does a couple of things. It has a partition through the centre of it, so it helps stop the fibre from just all travelling to the bottom of the cushion. And it means that covers are removable and washable as well. So I'm just getting some fill in here. As I go, I'm getting it stuffed. Now, bearing in mind, whilst I'm doing this, that the customers felt that their original cushions were still too fat, as they put it. So, too firm, too fat, too much fill in them. So, I'm going to make sure that these are a very soft backfill, which, considering I've taken 5 inches off it as well, we're probably going to have a fair amount of this fibre left over. Now, to make sure the cushions are the same, 2 cushions, we don't want one to look completely different to the other or feel different to the other. We can weigh the cushions, and that gives us a good indication that they should be the same. So we're doing this sort of almost as soft as you'd have a pillow to rest your head on. That's customer's preference. They want soft feel. It's difficult doing this because I am trying to interpret what the customer has asked me to do, so it could be very subjective. Even though I've taken a lot of this fill out, the customer could still turn around to me and say, no, it's too soft now, or it's still too firm. So I'm hoping that we're just about right. So the last couple of bits of stuff this in there. Right, so here you can see what we've removed. Let's move that out of the way. You can see what we've removed from this cushion. Bearing in mind we have taken 5 inches off the bottom anyway, but there's certainly a lot of fill there. So I need to take this over to the overlocker. We'll overlock this closed. I'll check the weight and then we'll stuff it in the cushion. So there you have it. The fill's back in there. Let's do a comparison next to the existing cushion. So this is the existing cushion. This is now the modified cushion. There you go. So you can see there's quite a lot of difference there in that height. And this one, I hope, is soft enough now for the client as well. It's as soft as I'd want to make it for a back cushion, so you know, I feel that it's okay. Having said that, I felt that their original fills didn't feel that firm to me. But there we go. So, need to do the other cushion, modify this one to match here, and then the arm cushions. I will take the fill out of the arm cushions, tease it apart like I've done with this, and if necessary add a little bit more fill to them. So the customer felt that their standard cushions were too bulbous, and they felt that their arm cushions weren't bulbous enough. So we're altering it, customising the suite for the customer. We're more than happy to do that. So I'll crack on with that. I'll get back to you when the cushions are done and we can show you these two matching. Okay. Right, so at last we're able to get on with these dining chairs. You can see over my shoulder at the moment. The customer has stripped them and re-varnished or refinished the wood themselves, so we just ripped it up or removed the cover initially, and then they've had them for a little bit of time, but now it's time for us to get on. I am going to change the green webbing that's on the seat that you can see there, just because it could be a bit tighter, so we're going to change that for them. Belt and braces sort of thing, and canvas seats, and then we're going to put a new 2-inch foam on them and Lux Bond. The foam that's on them, I'll spin the camera around and show you, has seen better days, so we're going to put a 2-inch foam on it. I'll just grab a piece of the 2-inch so I can show you the difference. Okay, let's spin you around and have a look. Right, so here's the old foam. It's very soft. It's 1 inch thick with a 1/2 inch piece in the centre to create a dome, and you can see where it's been set on the webs. Because the webs are close together, they haven't had the issue of it cutting the foam and the foam collapsing through it yet. I no doubt it will do, but we're going to avoid that by putting a canvas on it. And here's the 2-inch foam that we're going to use. Straight out the gate you can see it's thicker, and it's also firmer than what they have here. So we're going to get a nicer seat with this, so I'm just going to get them cut out of the 2-inch foam, and then you can join me when I'm re-webbing and putting the foam and Lux Bond on. So that's the foams all cut now, ready to go on. But first off, I've got to put the canvas on it here and re-web it. I'm come to the conclusion I'm not going to spend my time stripping this old webbing out. I'm going to put some new webbing over the top of it. Nothing wrong with doing that at all. So it just saves me a bit of time, and if anything, it's going to give a little bit more support to the job. So let's get on with getting these webbed and canvassed, and we'll see how we get on. So, excuse the compressor, it'll go off in a minute. So that's the webs front to back done. Unlike how they were done originally, I've folded over the ends of the webbing to give a stronger finish. We need to do the side to side now. As I'm sure you've seen on a previous video, we're weaving the webbing in and out. Again, fold the end over and staple it. Same with this end. Next row of webbing alternates to the first one in the manner that it's weaved through, so it's under, over, under, over. The first one was over, under, and so on and so forth. So this is a 90% or a seat webbing, seat elastic webbing. Elastic webbing comes in different stretches, so firmness on it, the amount it will stretch when you sit on it. There you go, that's better. This is a seating gauge one. Don't make the mistake of using back webbing on your seats. It will go very soft very quickly. So last row of webbing, under, and then over, under, then over, fold the end over, staples, stretch, put your back into it, and fold it over, trim it off. So that's one done. So just need to cut the canvas. Now to put that on there, we can see you've got really nice firm seat on it. It has got give in it. It's not completely solid. It's not like sitting on a piece of board. So you still get some movement in it, and hopefully it should stay firm for a good while. So there's canvas, roughly cut size. Put a staple on the back edge, hold it overhanging about an inch and a half, pull it to the front just to hold everything in place so I can make the cuts around the legs. And as per normal, we're cutting from the centre of the seat to where the corner of the leg is. That ensures that we have enough fabric to fold around the leg. And start with the back, fold there, staple, fold there, staple, then pull to the front diagonally. I'm pulling in this direction, corner to corner, same this way. As per normal, run out of staples at the key moment. I wonder how many staples I've used in 35 years. It's a calculation that I wouldn't want to know the answer to be honest. Let's put it from this side. Right. Can trim this back so there's about an inch and a half overhang. Fold that over. Like to try and keep every aspect of the job neat. As I've said before, if I can keep this part of it neat and tidy and the cuts right, it's easier for the top cover. So folding it back on itself and stapling it adds strength to the canvas. There you go, so that's the canvas done. So we've got a lovely seat there, nice and firm. Here's one of the seat foams that we cut out off camera. We use the existing seat foam as a template. They were very flat and square seats. I have an old seat cover here, as you can see. There you go. So the old seat covers had the top fabric here. This is the side of the seat, if you can imagine here. It's very difficult to see on camera, but that's the side of the seat, and the fabric is on the top and wrapped over the front edge. Okay, so we're gonna mimic that when we cut and sew the fabrics, keep them original, but they were a very flat, uniform seat, so I'll keep that same. The Lux Bond that we're going to put on top will give a little bit of softness and more of a dome to it, but when we roll this front edge over, that's where it comes from. So we're just going to clip this 2-inch foam on, which is thicker than the original foam, and it's also a firmer, more dense foam as well. so it should give longevity and comfort to the seats as well. So I'm just clipping this foam on, hold it into place. So I'm just clipping it through the bottom edge of the foam. So just taking the gun, just going in the bottom, angling the gun up and then pulling the trigger just to hold clip the foam on. So now we need some Lux Bond to go over that. We use a relatively heavy Lux Bond, or another way to put it, thick Lux Bond. Just because I like the finish that it gives me. So again, like cutting the canvas, I'm just cutting the Lux Bond to go around these legs. There you go. I need to pull that over, stapling it nice and low on the side rail, or back rail in this case. Need to trim off the excess, tuck that down, pull in a little bit of tension in the Lux Bond to put the foam under a bit of tension. If you don't do that, if you was just to pull it over, what you would find is that when you come to do the top cover, when you pull the top cover, you're going to end up with lumps because you'll have too much Lux Bond underneath there. You end up with lumps, so you need to put a little bit of tension in it. Get the shape you desire. Right, so I'm going to have to pause you there because I've got a customer just arrived, but we'll be back shortly. Right, sorry about that. Customers come first, so there you go. So I was just stapling this Lux Bond off. So it's got a square corner, so we're going to keep the corner square. So staple the Lux Bond right up to the front edge, and I'm just going to cut the Lux Bond up the side of the leg. Bearing in mind that this edge is going to roll over because of the way that the top is manufactured. It comes right the way round like that in one piece instead of having a border. The border's just on the side of the cushion. Done. Trim off the excess, flush with the bottom of the seat rail, keeping everything nice and neat. I'm trimming it just slightly below the seat rail so that the Lux Bond goes under the edge of that seat rail. So it just folds under and softens that sharp edge of the wood. Well, it's not sharp, but that edge of the wood. So that's one done. The inside backs I will address when I come to sewing them. May have to put a layer of Lux Bond over the inside backs, but I need to remind myself of how they're done with the back, so we'll do that in a minute. First off, I'll get the other ones, the other three of these done, and we'll get back to you regarding cutting and sewing the seats, hopefully. Okay. So that's the 4 seats reupholstered. I've just put the original covers back on so I can show you what I mean about this seat, just to make it clearer that the seat rolls over the front. It's not got a border coming along here. The cover rolls over. This is the border on the side. I've just put the white chalk on there to make it a bit clearer to see on camera. So that's the seat, and there's the back. Back is a little bit more complicated, but we're going to get the seats cut and machined up, and then the same with the backs. This is the fabric the customers have in. Let me take an old seat off so you can see the comparison. So there's the old fabric and there's the new. It's lovely fabric. It's got like a brushed cotton herringbone in it. I think they're going to look very smart with the wood finish on the legs that the customer's done there. So I'll get this unpicked and we'll start cutting the 4 seats and get them machined up, hopefully today. So that's the 4 seats done, sewn up. I checked one after doing the first one. I checked the fit and they're going to fit lovely. So there you go. I think they're going to look very nice. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to leave this chair until next week. I've got an appointment elsewhere. So we come back and watch next week. We should have the second part of this chair and whatever else we're going on next week. We're picking up furniture beginning next week, so there should be some more interesting stuff to do. As always, this is just a look at what's going on in the workshop. Not necessarily meant to be instructional, but I hope you just enjoy the content for what it is. So please like and subscribe, and we'll be back very soon with the next instalment, and certainly part 2 of these chairs. Thanks again for watching. Cheerio. Bye-bye.